Hello and welcome to Pro Tools 110 Workbook Exercise 2. All right, let's get started. Exercise 2, working with media files. So let's see here. For this exercise, we will work with a video segment. Ooh, all right. For those of you that took Cinema 9-1, you will recognize this MX0 as their little espionage James Bond-esque thriller thing we did for the spotting assignment. All right, so create the exercise 2 session. Launch Pro Tools, file, create new, name the new session 110 exercise 2 with your initials, and make it, remember our standard, 24-bit bit depth, 48 kilohertz sample rate, stereo mix, and we always like to keep our audio files interleaved. So let's do all of that. 110 exercise 2. All right. All right. So here's my dashboard. Create 110 exercise 2 KT wave file, 24-bit bit depth, 48 kilohertz sample rate, input output settings, stereo mix. Yep. And then prompt for location. I will save this. Let's see where I'll save this. Here we go. Since we're going to be working with this one, I'll save it in here. Save. Okay. Boom. Okay, so now we need to create a video track. We will import a video clip using import video command. This will automatically create a video track. So choose File, Import Video. The video is located in the Pro Tools 110 Download Media folder in folder 02 MX0, and it's mx0.move. And it looks like we want to import this at the session start, because we want the video to start at the beginning, not in the middle somewhere randomly, but at the beginning, at the session start. And we want to verify that import audio from file is disabled. Basically, when we import video, if the video has audio, you know, most video files have some sort of sound. Pro Tools lets us import that audio, and what it does is it strips out and makes its own audio file, or we could just ignore it and it'll import it as a silent video file. So I guess that's what they want us to do. So import video. Okay. MX0 in the 110 folder. Remember, it's in the 110 exercise media folder, in folder 02 MX0. And it says the .move. Now, MXF is preferred because Pro Tools just plays those a little smoother. So either one will work. I'm going to just follow the directions and choose the .move, but either one of these will work, and most of the time we do choose MXF. It's just that the instructions for this exercise asks us to choose the move file, so we'll do that. Okay, so we want it on a new track, session start, and we do not want to import the audio. Okay, so when that happens, you should now have a video track that says MX0. It should let you know the frame rate, 23.976 frames per second, which is pretty standard for HD video. And you can actually use your selector and scroll around in the video, and as you scroll around, what you're seeing in your video window is the frame that your selector is on. Now, if you don't have a video window open, make sure you go up to Window, down to Video. I'm going to leave that up there for a second so you can see what the shortcut is. It's Command 9, or on a PC it would be Control 9. And it's the 9 that's on your numeric keypad, which is the little keypad that's on the right side of your keyboard. All right, so once that's open, you can see what you're doing. And if you don't see a thumbnail here, it's because when you click on this little pop-up underneath your nameplate, it says frames or blocks. If it's on blocks, it's just a block. When it's on frames, it lets you see thumbnails. That's the only difference. Okay. Configure timecode settings for this session. Okay, let's see what this says. Set the main timescale for the session to timecode, and open the session setup session and set the session start to 59 minutes. Oh, this is good. Okay. So here is our timescale. So we want our main timescale to be set to timecode. And I always like having my sub timescale set to minutes and seconds. That way I could see like what frame I'm on if I have any notes from the editor. And then I could just see how long, where I am in the project. Oh, I'm at the 47-second mark, you know. Now it says to go up to setup session. Okay. So this is where we could change things. So our session start right now is at 59 minutes, 58 seconds, and 0 frames. The instructions say to change this to 59 minutes, 0 seconds, 0 frames. So that is what I've done. Oops. And now it says, should clips and ruler data maintain their timecode positions or maintain their positions relative to the start of the session? Let's see what that means in the workbook. If you're prompted by a dialog box related to timecode positions, choose maintain relative position or OK, depending on which message appears. Okay. There we go. And now use timecode rate to select 23976 to match the imported file. Because look, this lets you know what the frame rate is. Therefore, our session timecode rate must also be the same. If it's not, we need to tell it. We need to tell it otherwise. Let's see here. Because sometimes, like if you'd worked on a session before, say it's a 30 frame per second session, it'll stay there. And Pro Tools could be confused if your session frame rate is different than the frame rate of the video that you've imported. So you always want to make sure your session timecode rate is the same as the video timecode rate that you've imported, and it is 23976, 23976. Okay, and then we just close it. There we go. Okay, let's see what's next. Now we're going to import audio tracks. Oops. Now we'll import audio tracks to use with our session using the import session data command. Ooh, this is good. This kind of goes back to the AAFs we're talking about. It'll be a window that's similar. The basic audio tracks you have already been assembled in the PTX session. Import file, import session data, navigate to the MX0 folder, to the download media folder, and find the MXZ audio PTX file and open it. So let us put our cursor back to the beginning. Oops. Back to the beginning. And let's just zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole thing. There we go. File, import session data. So what we're going to do here, it's similar to AAFs. When you have a session and you want to import tracks that have already been made in another session, such as an AAF that you're importing from Premiere, which contains tracks that were made in Premiere. Or in this case, I'm starting a session that maybe was started by another editor who got fired for being, I don't know, an idiot or something. So my boss, my head sound designer, said, Ken, you need to continue where the last editor left off. I've got his Pro Tools file. So what I've done is I've started a new Pro Tools session, and I'm going to import the tracks the way they've already been laid out thus far into my new session. And that is importing your session data. So again, it's in Pro Tools 110 Exercise Media, O2 MX0, boom, mxzaudio.ptx. Click on open. And what's cool is it lets us know what we're importing. We're importing something whose start time is the start time as the session that we just set up. So because our start time code is now 59 minutes 0 seconds, it matches the start time code of the session somebody else made that we're importing. If your start time code and the start time code of a session you're importing are different, it could get a little confusing. So it's always good to check with the other editor, whoever it is, to see what their start time code is and have yours match. And we just did that in the step before. And what we're seeing here is the tracks that are coming in. We've got DX, ADR, background, Foley, FX, music, and then the master. These are all the different tracks. So let's see what it says to do. These are the tracks available to import. So what we're going to say is option click on the name of any track listed in the import session dialog box to select all tracks to import. And then at the bottom of the box, verify that import replace existing playlists is selected. So option, there we go. I'll do that one more time so you can see. So as you can see, when something is not selected, it's assuming we don't want it. So it's saying this track is in this session data. Do you want to import it? And I'm saying nope, I don't want to import it. No destination. But if you click on it, it's now saying that everything is selected will be imported onto its own separate new track. So I'll have a new track called DX, I'll have a new track called ADR, I'll have a new track called backgrounds, etc., etc. And on that track will be all of the work that the previous editor did. And I'm just going to take it from this point forward. And it looks like I want to import replace existing playlists. Great. What that means is if I have tracks on here already, I'm replacing them. So that's what's happening there. And then click the choose button next to track data to import to display the track data to import dialog box and verify that all options are checked. If needed, option click on any unchecked box to enable all the options. That's a trick here. When you click on option, it will select everything. So let's see, track data to import. So it wants me to select everything. It looks like everything is selected except for these guys, but I'll just show you what they're talking about. If I didn't want to go through and click everything, all I have to do is option click on any of the empty boxes and it just fills them all in. Or option click or alt click if you're on Windows to do that. Hit OK. Hit OK. I think. Let me just make sure. OK. Let's do this. OK. And watch what happens. Boom. So I love watching that happen. Boop. All right, so that's what's so cool about importing session data. And this is how importing AAFs from Premiere work. AAFs are session data. Pro Tools file sessions are session data. What is session data? Session data is a timeline that's already been started and already has clips placed in specific spots. And what's cool in Pro Tools is if you have an empty session, you can import session data, or basically import another session into your empty project and just continue from where they left off. Super cool. So that's what we just did. So look, we've got the comments. Looks like we've got backgrounds. We've got Foley of guns and knives. We've got data stream and swooshes. And then like we've got a music track. We got 2 music tracks. Super cool. So we're ready to go. But looks like there's more steps here. In this part of the exercise, you will import a gunshot sound effect and place it in the session. Then you will use the spot dialog box to position the file at the proper location. Okay, so view the scene where gunshot sounds are needed. So we're going to go into grid mode, set the grid value to 1 second, and make a selection on the video track from 7 to 16 seconds. 1 hour 7 seconds to 1 hour 16 seconds. And you can do that by going up here. Refer to the timecode ruler as well as the start, end, and length fields in the counters area as timing references, so you know that you're selecting the right thing. So go to grid mode, make sure your grid value is set to 1 second, and then we want to make a selection on the video track from 7 to 16. Got it. So grid mode, absolute grid. We'll talk about relative grid later. Grid set to 1 second. There we go. And you want to make sure grid is highlighted, because if it's not highlighted, we're not going to see it. See what I'm doing? I'm clicking on grid, and now I can see the grid lines. I click on grid again, the lines disappear. So let's zoom in a little bit. Move this guy. Oops. Just make him really small. Go out of the way. Okay, we want to go from, remember, start and end, right? So there it is, 1 minute 7. So 1:07 to 1:16. 1:07 to 1:16. That's what I have selected right now. And it's easy to do. If you're in slip mode, I'll show you. If you're in slip mode, try to do that. Slip mode goes down to like the subframe, and it's hard to get exactly to the precise moment you want to get to. So a lot of times you'll be in grid mode if you have instructions to start like on the second or on the frame or whatever the case may be. Okay. Press the spacebar to audition the selection and view the on-screen action. Oh, I need to play this so you guys can hear it. I'm doing this after class, so I had to reset my playback engine. Okay, here we go. Oh wait, I need to make this bigger. Here we go. Okay, it looks like he shoots the gun 3 times, but we don't have the sound effects. This is where the spot will be perfect. So let's see here. So now we're going to open up the workspace browser. Here is a quick little shortcut. Option or Alt I will open up the workspace browser. Option I or Alt I if you're on Windows. Activate advanced search by clicking the magnifier plus button in the workspace browser. Right there. and then a filter row will appear between the browser bar. We want to use the selectors in the display filter row to specify kind is audio file. Okay, let's start by doing that. Window, default, open up the advanced search. Well, first I always click on volumes, and I'm getting this off of my hard drive, so I'm going to make sure I click on that. Okay, and so it says default search, kind is, okay, let's look. Kind is audio file. See, we're narrowing it down. Then uses selectors in the second row to specify name contains and enter gunshot as the search term. Okay, so you hit the plus. This is what advanced search is. So instead of doing, maybe if you've got 20 files on your computer named gunshot, we're saying we want the files named gunshot that are also audio files. It helps narrow it down, which is nice. So let's define another row of search parameters. Hit the plus button. And name contains gunshot. All right, see, we've narrowed it down. Search results will begin to appear. And let's audition each of the gunshot files. So looks like there are a lot. Let's play this one. Here's another one. Select the gunshot file containing a series of 3 shots with a long reverberated decay on the final shot. I think that might be, I think it is this one. That's the one. FX gunshots. Got it. Okay. Verify that audio files conform to session tempo is not active. If it is active, that's it. With it active, here it is with it not active. Doesn't really make much of a difference, but it is good to know this. We learned about this in class. This is the audio files conform to session tempo button. When this is on, then when we import an audio file, it will conform to the session tempo. So for example, if the tempo or the rhythm of this session was really fast, it would speed up whatever file we put in here, whether we wanted to or not. So that's what this button does. It conforms your audio files to the session tempo. I have it turned off right now, and that is what they want us to do because I want to import the audio files the way they were recorded and playing at the speed they were meant to be played at. Okay. Drag the selected file into your session, placing it anywhere on the FX Guns track. Okay, so I'm just going to drag it into the clip window. Like that. Whoop. Let it go. It's now in there. And then it says to drag it anywhere into the FX Gun track. So I'm going to close the workspace browser. There's FX Gun. Here's the gun track right here. I am going to, right there. It says to just place it anywhere in there. There it is. So if I play it, it's obviously in the wrong spot right now. Yeah, see, that doesn't make any sense. But I have a feeling we're going to do something. Okay. So, right-click on the imported file and select Spot from the pop-up menu. The Spot dialog box will display and enter 1 hour, 0 minutes, 8 seconds, 13 frames in the start field. So this is the ideal situation. When you're sound editing, someone is giving you notes as to precisely where a sound effect should go. So we imported the sound effect. It is in our clip list. We threw it into our track, but it's in the wrong spot. And luckily we have timecode to where exactly it should be. So we could go into spot mode and click on it and enter that information. Or if we want things to be really quick and easy, right click on it. And instead of going into spot mode, we could just tell this clip that we want to spot it, which will move it to the same thing. This is the same thing as going into spot mode, but without going into spot mode. So we're cutting out a couple of steps, which is nice. Spot, see, it's the same window. So what is it? 01000813. That is the start point it wanted us to set this clip at. So that's what we're going to do. Hit OK. Boom. There we go. Now let's see what it says to do. Play the selection to verify the results. Boom. Now, if this is a situation where you're like, those gunshots are alright, but I prefer these other gunshots, that's fine. Then what you would do is you would scroll through and find the precise frame where the gun fires. In that case, it is. You would watch. Let's see here. I could use my minus and plus keys. Right there. 8:15. So I can have a gun fire at 8:15. I can have a gun fire at 9:22, and then I can have the final gunfire at 12:18. So if I wanted, I could take 3 separate gunshots, import them, and spot them to each one to those specific timecode points, because now I know the timecode. In this case, we had a file that was already timed out perfectly, and we just needed to place it in sync with the first gunshot and all the other ones lined up, which is nice. But that's what's great about spot mode. You bring something in, you right click on it, you put it in spot, you enter the time code, and it just goes to the right spot as long as you know the time code. And that's why I like having my main counter on time code, because it's easy to do stuff like that, and my sub counter on minutes and seconds. Okay. To finish up, you can play back the session to hear your results. Also be sure to save the work you have done before closing the session, and then hit the return key to go back to the beginning, play it back if you wish, and then send me a picture of your screen. Take a screenshot, because I want to see this in there. I want to see that it's in the right spot. Send it to me. Exercise 2 is done.